What's going on, guys? Got a Madden 13 video for you. This is going to be article based as opposed to gameplay based, so ask that you take a second, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, but then go read the article. In the famous words of LeVar Burton, don't take my word for it. So this is an article that Santonio Corky had sent me over the weekend, and basically it talks about the clutch rating in Madden 13. In the beginning, it talks about a fictitious situation where Tim Tebow plays terribly through the first 3 quarters, but because the game, it was within 8 points in the final 2 minutes in overtime, all of a sudden we would see a completely different Tim Tebow. It does talk about the 38 players that have clutch. It does go into exactly what is affected by clutch, and it actually goes to the point where Donnie Moore, the quote-unquote rating czar of EA, says that he would put Mark Sanchez on the bench after the first 3 quarters and bring in Tim Tebow. Now, I don't want this to turn into a debate, although I will mention a player later on in terms of clutchness of when, where, why, how a player gained or lost his clutch. But certainly it does talk about players like Mario Manningham, Adam Vinatieri, Tim Tebow, and things like that. The problem I have with this is that it must mean that the static ratings in the game become moot when players have this ability. And that means, in theory, you have the most important aspect of the game, the ratings, being negated to a point we cannot physically understand, simply because the player is given a clutch assignment. The other problem I have is, when you think about this and what's affected, to me it really lends credence to the scripted gameplay situation. I mean, let's realize that this is late in the 4th quarter or overtime when another team is fatigued. And this just seems like it would be very overpowering when we're talking about a defense that generally sees hit power and awareness being affected across the board defensively, interestingly enough, other than the defensive end position, because defensive ends are not affected by clutch, despite the fact that Jared Allen and Justin Smith both have the clutch attribute. One person here recommends that you would put them in as a linebacker. Apart from that, on the offensive side of the ball, generally pass blocking is improved across the board, as well as awareness, and interestingly enough, running back stamina. You know, shouldn't, in my opinion, late gameplay be affected more by leadership and team chemistry than anything else, rather than just one player who just happens to have this clutch attribute? Because to me, clutch is in every game. You know, clutch is once in a blue moon, you see it, you know it, and then you respect it. It certainly doesn't happen game in, game out every single week. So the example I want to give to contrast EA is, let's say that I have the Chiefs and we're playing the Jets. Matt Castle and Dwayne Bowe get a connection going, and let's say I have 8 completions for 2 touchdowns and 140 yards. However, if this game remains close, I now stand a better chance to lose, because Darrelle Revis will have a simulated boost to his abilities in things like awareness, catch in traffic, catching, hit power, man coverage, play recognition, pursuit, and tackling, while I'm going to get stuck with maybe an in-game hot or cold streak. You know, furthermore, if the Jets decide to bench Mark Sanchez and bring in a cold Tim Tebow, he's going to see a boost in awareness, carrying, play action, throw accuracy, and throw on the run. To me, that's just completely not realistic. You know, there's no reason that 2 players can't connect well during a game and have it only fail later on because of unrealistic boosts of certain players. And to get just to one point where I talked about players being clutch not all the time, Marshawn Lynch had an extremely memorable run against the Saints. I'm not going to deny that. I watched the Seahawks game this weekend. It was brought back up as, in their opinion, not mine, one of the greatest runs in NFL history. However, in being realistic, you know, Marshawn Lynch is a running back that's played 5 seasons, got 2 Pro Bowls, and was traded for a 4th and 5th round pick. This isn't a player I should have taking over every single close or overtime game I play against him or with him because of that.